we feel like kings around the table, telling stories, go with the flow. You know it gets a bit rowdy every time we're in town. We set on fire and have nowhere to go. So we're camping, check out the night sky, full perception and pushed on all sides. I roll to hit, I crit, I scream, my friends walk in, I freeze. Maybe I should talk about it. Shout it! Will their calendar allow it? Shout it! They love everything about it. Shout it! Aww! Hey, let's do this thing. Another player, let the party begin. Let's roll! Another dungeon path and find a dragon. Put a pause on reality. You get to live your fantasy. Let's do this thing. Another player, let the party begin. Let's roll! Another dungeon path and find a dragon.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today. This is Ray from Dinner and a Game. We hope you all are having a great day. We actually are here to do something almost adult. So we have no idea what to do with ourselves. But what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and have an interview with DM Mark J, who is one of the creative minds and the primary creative mind behind Apochromatic Unlimited, as well as a game designer themselves. Mark, thank you so much for joining us today. We really are happy to have you here. I hope you're doing okay.
I'm doing okay. Some of those things you said about me were true.
I know. I try not to lie more than half of the time, but I could be lying about that.
That's a pretty good rate, though.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm doing good at it. I am. I believe in me, even though Diamond does not.
I believe in you.
That was the lie. Oh, he got us again. Got us again.
So, Mark, what we're going to do today, and we kind of went over this a little bit with you earlier, but we have some questions we're definitely going to be delving into. You're involved with a lot of really great items and really great creative endeavors, especially regarding trying to bring POC creators more into the forefront of people's minds when they think about TTRPGs and the TTRPG space.
Oh, yeah.
And that is something that we at Dinner at a Game have wholeheartedly believed in for quite a long time, and it's been great to see that's on the upswing. But at the same time, we still see situations like all the Wizards of the Coast debacle in 2021, the problems with Paizo, all the other things that have come up that have been still displaying that the POC voice in TTRPGs is still not getting the respect that it deserves. So we're kind of going to delve into that a little bit, if that's okay with you. Yeah, as well as talking about all the aspects of the different things that you're working on right now, and of course we're going to be focusing at first on Apochromatic Unlimited. Number one, why did you make it so hard to say?
Oh wow, we were searching for a name. We were searching for a name that encompasses just what we were trying to do. I looked up, I don't know where it came from personally. I was just Googling stuff. Apochromatic or apochromatic. I still don't know how it's pronounced, so it's fine. I've only seen it written and when I write it. So
Gotcha.
But I think technically it's a term used in photography, describing when different colors come together. And it just really fit. It was a mouthful when we first put it together, but yeah, it just kind of fit what our vision was. People in TTRPG space.
Oh no, that's.
But yeah, it is a mouthful. Nobody wants to say it.
No one wants to say it. Well, that's okay. I'm working on it really hard, and hopefully by the end of this interview, I'll actually have it down. But I've been practicing it all day.
Oh.
While I was putting together videos, the video intro and everything like that, I was like, I gotta say it right, and I was like, I'm hopeless.
Oh no, you are cleared of any guilt. There's no right way to say it. I'm just gonna say that now.
Oh, well. It's a personal choice either way. So
yeah. Ray, you've apparently put myself and Mark in the wrong position.
I fixed it. I just
okay,
fixed it.
cool.
I saw chat 2 and I was like, oh.
We also get rated by Becker Street.
Hey, Beggar Street, welcome in. Thank you so much for rating, and we hope you guys are having a great day as well. So Mark, what type of project? Just as a general thing, why don't you give us a brief introduction to yourself and your, let's say your top creative works right now.
Oh my goodness. Well, have you heard of the Oscars?
Mhm.
I
Hmm.
did that. Just kidding. Um, no, hey everybody. I'm Mark J. I am one of the founders of Apocalyptic Unlimited. We are an all POC TTRPG space. We have our zine. We have actual plays. We have interview segments. We have just so many cool things, and our goal is to highlight and uplift um, all POC in this space. We're just a platform for other people to stand on, essentially. So that's kind of what we do. I myself, I am sometimes I'm a writer, I'm a producer, I'm a performer. I won an award for performing. Shout out to the Black Podcast Awards. I'm gonna own it if no one else wants to. I'm gonna own it. Um, what else? And yeah, I like people. Like I said, I'm not gonna say I use TTRPGs, but I use TTRPGs to make friends and meet people, and then talk to like people from all around the world. So it's been amazing for me so far. I'm not the best at answering questions because I'm usually on the other side of the equation, asking other people questions. So I'm gonna do my best today.
No problem. And like I said, that's one of the reasons that Diamond and I like the conversational format because it lets people relax and kind of hopefully,
Yeah,
I mean, you're under the spotlight no matter what. So
yeah, true.
it's going to be that's going to always be at the forefront of your brain. But if we can make it a conversation and make you comfortable, then hopefully we'll be able to get through this and no one will have a panic attack because that usually happens to me anyway. So
That's usually what I try to do for my podcast. I always forget my own podcast. I have a podcast called None Shot. So play on the word one shot, just a none shot. I got the title from I was playing with some people from um, the Black D&D Discord, and we were starting to play a game, and we just started talking, and we just started talking, and we just started talking, and we never played the game. But the conversation was the deepest, most powerful conversation about how the universe is made of dumplings. And at the end of it, I was like, well, we just did a none shot. Like we all got together to play, but we never played. So that's where the title of my podcast come from. It's
Yep.
it's the same vein as the things I do. Sorry, I live in a nice neighborhood where there's still car alarms. I don't know if y'all can hear that. But my podcast is the same as the goal of Apocalyptic Unlimited. It's to look at the intersection between culture, race, and the TTRPG space. So I've had a bunch of cool interviews, and there's more to come.
Yep. And so one of the things that I know that has come up with the TTRPG space and POC intersection is the fact that it has put a very strong focus on making inclusivity be a should be a driving force for TTRPG streaming communities,
Mhm.
like gaming communities, like and this has come up caused some really critical observations of some of the bigger streams that are out there right now.
Mm.
Critical Role being a perfect example. Even though Critical Role has brought in POC to players in, there is a huge debate on the tokenization of those players since none of them
Mhm.
have become permanent cast members.
Mhm.
Would you say that that is the type of thing that you want to not necessarily focus on with the organization, but try and alleviate in some way by using your organization to try and bring more focus on that?
I would hope so. First, let me preface this by saying I've never seen Critical Role. I'm sorry. I've also
You're
only
fine.
seen one episode of Dimension 20, and that was Dungeons and Drag Queens. So that
Oh,
was
such a good episode.
legit.
Oh yeah, no, you
But
you chose
besides
a good
that,
one.
Very
I'm not up on the like Crit Role or those ones. I definitely understand that they have had issues with representation, but see that's kind of a more like an LA thing. Like they're
Mhm.
out of LA as far as I'm concerned, and they're just going to cast who they need to cast at the time. But I try my best not to worry about those guys because like that's out of my purview. It's out of my
Hmm.
control. Like I have no time for them. Just like they don't have time for me. So it's mutual. It's a mutual understanding that I've come to agree with Matt Mercer. I've shook his hand and said, let's ignore each other for the rest of our lives, please. There's no need for us to ever talk ever again. And he turned around, never saw him again. Um, but yeah, there's so many talented people in this space. There's so many people who are just oozing with talent. Every time I talk with someone new, I'm like, oh shit, like you're like the bomb. Like you're so good at everything you do. Um, and that's really what I'd like to do. Just platform people and give them space to be creative, give them space to grow. And people don't need a lot of like room, but you give them a little room and they'll take it and run with it. And that's what I love to see.
Yep. And that's one of the focuses that Dinner and Game has had is we have helped creators actually build platforms.
Yeah.
Several people that we brought into GM, well, most of them had their own platforms, but we have hopefully given them catalysts and want to be more diverse in their own. We had a complete separate stream that was a stream based out of Toronto that was based around several creators that I met through TikTok, and they're all LGBTQIA community, and they basically they came on and were doing a show on my stream. And
Mhm.
I basically was also teaching the person they wanted to do tech how to set up a stream, and the
Nice.
entire intention was they were going to launch on their own
Hell
eventually.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they did. And that was like, I mean, I felt like that was a great way to kind of have that situation come up. Is that the type of focus that you're looking towards doing is helping people develop that ability if they have the means?
Yeah, I definitely consider that. I don't think that's where we're at right now is helping other people develop because we're still developing ourselves. We're still growing. We're still learning. We're still pretty brand new. So shout out to y'all for making that happen. But I think we're still trying to really discover who we are as a group as well. So we'll get there one day. But we will always encourage other people if that's what they want to do. We'll never like backbite someone and be like, oh, they went off and did their own thing. Like, no, it's cool. Do your own thing, please. Please.
Yeah, the more creators we have, it just creates a greater pool of stuff that we can all draw from in the end.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so, it's not an homogenization, it's actually an exponential increase in the amount of creative
Oh
product out
yeah.
there.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Because one person, oh my goodness, one person can spin off and do a thing with 8 people, and those 8 people can do a thing with another group of people. Like, there's so much space for it. I want to
Yeah.
go back real quick.
Sure.
You mentioned Dimension 20. Sorry, I'm also better with brain injuries, so sometimes my mind's like, what just happened? Uh, you were talking about Dimension 20 and ideas of like tokenism and representation. And just one of the things that I've kind of looked at in my journey in this space is how separating and how isolating representation can be sometimes. And the more I talk with people, they're saying like, I've been in this space for a long time, I'm stable, but I've never worked with other POC or a full POC table. I'm like, God damn, I see you everywhere. But if you look closely, like they're not with a group of other POC. So that's like one of the things that we are trying to help connect people in that way. There's definitely a lot
Absolutely.
of connections in the space. The space isn't that big, a lot of connections, but sometimes like, we just need our own space. And you know what, Crit World? Happy for y'all. I'm not a critter, but happy for y'all. And we just got to do our own thing. Have our own
Absolutely.
fun.
I think that Critical Role broke the ground on the entire media outlet
Yeah,
condition, but at the same time, you know, no initial foray is going to be perfect.
yeah,
And because,
yeah.
like you said, it was pretty much an LA based situation where it was all actors slash voice actors,
Mm,
and because we all know what that community consists of, it was a that it was a way that it was limited, and
yeah.
plus it also spurned up from it was their home game that
Mhm.
they
Mm,
spun into it, so it was like these are the people they knew. Unfortunately, a lot of
yeah,
times that happens. Um, when it comes to tokenization, when Dinner and a Game first launched off, and we were trying to find diverse creators to work with, we got more than accused of tokenization. We got literally harassed, death threats, the works,
Oh,
because we were putting out casting calls and we were saying, like, we're looking for POCs
yeah.
and members of the Alphabet Mafia, and to basically come on and actually fill roles, because and this is the rudest thing I'll say tonight. I can put white boys in seats all day long, forever, and they're all talented and they're all great, but I don't want to just have a nice homogenized faces
Right.
that all look like me. Although weird thing is I'm Hispanic. So, but I'm just really pale because I don't go outside.
Ray and I bond over that constantly. Constantly.
Yeah. Diamond and I share the horror stories of going to family reunions, and I'm not brown enough.
Oh,
It's like, and here today on I'm Not Brown Enough is Ray and Diamond.
I think
the big spinoff.
Yep.
I think I think Mark, you and I became mutuals on Twitter because I was looking for people who are in the space, like the TTRPG space on Twitter, and I put out basically a thing saying, "Hey, I work with 2 channels, and we're looking for more like people who want to come and join us. It's like any BIPOC people who want to like connect. Drop your things below." And I gained a bunch of like new mutuals off of that. And I think one of the things that was interesting is that I then started looking through and seeing like what all these different people were doing, and I then saw the Epichromatic like Unlimited as a whole like entity, and I was looking through the website, and you guys have zines that you do.
Yeah.
I'm like a super like old school punk kind of person, so I see the word zines, I'm like, gimme.
Yeah, we put that together last year. Oh gosh, well, maybe it was 2 years ago. Yeah, well, last year, starting 2 years ago through last year. That was kind of our thing. Is like we want to do a publication. Like, it's cool. APs are dope. Interviews are dope. But like having a physical product with like your name on it, and you can like shove in people's hands. You chase people down at the con and be like, "Yo, look at my zine. You take this and I'll run away." Like we wanted to have that because we wanted to showcase like not only ourselves. Like our zine right now is just it's a session 0. It's called Session 0. It's a pilot. It's a prospect. It's basically all of us writing, all of our team writing. But for the next thing, we're hoping to have more artists, more contributors, people from all over, just saying their piece. Because there's a lot of writers in the space. But one of the things I love about that tweet you put out, and I love about it happens every so often where someone's like the words TTRPG space combined with BIPOC, and then everybody shows up to the party.
Yeah,
I just love that. I just love seeing that so much. It doesn't matter when or where or how, but just when those two things come together, it's really so heartwarming to see everybody show up and be like, "Hey, I want to represent myself. Nice to meet you. How you doing? Let's all connect." I love it.
I think one of the things too about it is because we actually got one of our guest GMs off of that tweet because someone had approached me and said, "Hey, I'm interested in doing this." I'm like, "Cool, come do this thing, and I'm never going to let you leave because you're good at what you do."
Hell yeah.
And that's something that I very much believe in because, like, I only got into TTRPGs maybe I want to say officially a little under 5 years ago. So right before the pandemic hit, whenever the big boom in the TTRPG space of everybody's stuck at home. So everybody wants to find something to do with themselves digitally. And so I did notice it's like I was being used as kind of the token representation for a hot minute in certain groups. And I'm just like, you can't do that. There are so many other talented people you could connect with. And so then it became, well, I also would like to connect with these people. I would also still like to be recognized for the work that I've been doing. I am in my identity, but at the same time, I don't just want to be my identity. I want to be me.
Yeah.
And I feel like one thing I really like about you is that you seem to have your own personality. You have your own way that you handle yourself. We did the session 0 together for A Feast of Fixings for Black History Month, and I loved listening to everybody basically get together and talk, and like the ideas everybody was bringing to the table. And that's such a unique experience, especially with like smaller indie TTRPG games that are being like, oh, we're just play testing this, and then everybody like brings such unique tweaks and quirks and backstory and ideas
Mhm.
to this newly like forming game system.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that like on like Apocochromatic Unlimited, it's like
Listen, wait, pause. APOC U.
APOC U.
Everybody,
Even better,
APOC U.
even easier to say.
APOC, there we
Yeah,
go.
no more tongue twisters.
One of my favorite things on APOC U is like you guys do a lot of like lesser known TTRPGs. You do a lot of people who are like game designers who come in and say, hey, I'm doing this thing. Would anybody like to test it with me?
Yeah.
Because you ran one where it was the like about being a parent, I think you were talking about the other day.
Oh, I did an interview / game with Taylor N. Yeah, and they, oh my goodness. So that was a lot of fun. A couple months ago, I did an interview / gameplay, similar thing with one of my colleagues in Apochromatic, Leona Maples. And they had a game about being a Canadian Asian person, and it was heartbreaking. It was like roll the dice, and then someone calls you a racial slur. Roll the dice, and your family says you're too Canadian and not Asian enough. So I saw that story, and I wanted to just like, first of all, I wanted to put that out there because like people have these short games that they put their whole souls into, or at least part of their souls of this one experience into a game. I'm like, God damn, you can gamify this part of your experience. So I just kind of figured there's got to be other people out there who have done that kind of thing. So this last game I did with Taylor about parenting, it was another one. It was like, I saw it on the page. I was like, oh no, this is gonna hurt some people, and mostly me, having never been a parent. But yeah, just there's so much creativity and there's so much heart and soul that people are putting into games. And like Taylor said during our interview, like no, it was never meant to be played. Like she made it, and no one's ever gonna play a little and stream it. So I was like, we need to tell this. I need to tell this story. We need to tell this story. We need this story of this wonderful person, Taylor, out there. And shout out to Taylor and shout out to my two guests on that, Jen Youngles and Stefan Huddleston. Just shout out to them because they're both parents. They're both role players, and they both were able to bring so much empathy and grace to the real struggle that was in this game. So that's what I love to do. Just bring empathy and caring to the space and combine that with games. Like that's beautiful.
Yeah. I'm one of those people who believes that TTRPGs are tabletop role-playing games, but I always approach them from a lot of the ones that I go into as this is a chance to collaboratively tell a story and build a world together. And it's supposed to be collaborative storytelling. And it's kind of like sometimes you'll be at tables where you don't feel like that you're able to add input into the story. You're not able to build the world, and the world isn't needing you. You're just kind of stuck in there, and you're just kind of reacting to everything, and nothing has importance to it. So finding out that there's people who are writing these really short games that are so deep and personal to them, they feel like they live and breathe, even in that little one shot that you have.
They do, yeah.
And I think that's what I love about it. And they hurt. Oh my goodness.
I in a good way, in a way that's cathartic for the person designing the game, I think, but in a way that's real and honest, and not just elf versus dwarf versus angry human. Like we've done that before. What about being a parent? What about being a first generation Asian person in Canada? Like, let's tell some real stories. That's incredible. I mean, like, people can tell real stories. People can tell stories about themselves, about their experience, and make it so real and visceral in a game. Like, if I can uplift that in this space, I've done something important in my eyes. In my eyes, I've done something important.
Yep, absolutely. And that was one thing I was going to speak to. One thing that I've always felt that I, as a game master playing any type of modern urban fantasy, anything like that, I've always fell short and felt kind of dishonest
Mhm.
whenever anything went to a culture that I didn't have any knowledge or experience of. And it's like, so I'm like, I always felt like, it was like, well, the basic, it's whitewashing for the most part, but, it's just like, I can't speak to that culture. I can't delve into it as a game master trying to represent it as an NPCs. So
Mhm.
I
Hmm.
do my best to skirt the edge of it and not try and, not try and be try and force things that just are not in my experience. And so that's one of the things that I think is one of the main reasons I would love to see more people who have those experiences be able to run games, because it would
Yeah,
change the entire scope and outlook of a game just to have a
yeah,
different perspective in the GM's chair.
Hmm.
I mean, that's an incredible. You don't, people don't understand the change that would have and the effect that have on the narrative that's going through there and the way it's filtered. Because the GM is just a filter for the narrative. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Well, a good GM is. You basically are taking everything that the players hand you and then just using that as the meta for what you're doing,
Mm.
and and that's a filter. But coming from me, I only have my experiences to deal with, so I'm translating their meta
Yeah,
through what I do. So when the players hand me stuff, that's the problem. So that's why, one of the reasons that we want to see this grow
mhm.
as an experience for everyone is that it would bring even more understanding for everyone, because you
Yeah,
get to see the world through different filters, and that's would
yeah.
be incredible.
Absolutely. I produced a our Halloween special junction with this amazing table, and let me get their names because like I'd be so embarrassed if I didn't just shout out everybody. But we had Connie as a GM, we had Banana Chan as a player. Um, oh, I'm sorry, Kenneth Shaw was another player. Okay, brain, help me, help me. It was an all Asian cast playing this game about Chinese vampires, and there was no way. I've seen other APs of the same game, Juncture, just created by Banana Chan. I've seen other tables do it, but no one has done it in this way with this all
Hmm.
Asian cast. It was the most incredible thing. Just sitting there watching it, I was so happy to be able to like put that together because you're right. There's no yes, you want diversity, but sometimes if you have a group from a similar regional experience telling the same story, it's 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 better than you could ever imagine. Um,
Hmm.
it's incredible to have those stories.
Hmm.
I wanted to produce another show, AP. Shout out to my homie Kemma, also in Apocalyptic Unlimited. They were telling me about these. Ooh, I don't know if I want to spoil this one, but it's a really cool story about these um, indigenous Hawaiian people that needed help herding, and they became essentially cowboys. And they went up into Wyoming and like went up to a rodeo in Wyoming and like won all the awards and like just killed it. And then I guess they went back and were just like cool shit. I'm not telling you. Well, they're called pañuelos,
Hmm.
um, Hawaiian cowboys, but um, I was like, yeah, I want to tell that story, but I'm also like, I'm not the one to tell a story. I can
Hmm.
platform someone else to tell this story with me, or etc. But it's just like that. Like, you're right. There's only so much you can do from your experience in a story, no matter where you're coming from. And I don't want to misrepresent someone else's culture
Yeah.
or experience
Hmm.
because that's not fair to me. I have my own experience to represent. So,
Hmm. And I
um,
think I think that unfortunately is one of the things that there's one of the things that as game masters, there's not enough consideration put on. And I think that's one of the ways that, once again, the TTRPG culture kind of fails. POC and even the LGBTQIA culture is when you have a primary source of storytelling who does not have those experiences and then does not choose to respect those life experiences
Mm.
and just tries to not patronize, but put out generalizations or concepts that are much. It's just general concepts that are pretty much just the. I'm stuck on the word now. Well, basically having them be creations that are based on theory and
Stereotypes.
stereotypes. Yes,
Stereotypes.
heavily dealing with stereotypes and what they expected the culture to be and not what it is or what it could be. So because they don't have the lived experience and they never
Yeah.
will. And so that's kind of like why I'm like this doesn't even really play out for me because I cannot rectify this with the situation that we're looking in.
Yeah.
And so it makes it very difficult to be able to say, yeah, we should we should do a better job. But then you're like, okay, we can't police every single table.
True.
You know what I mean? And there's tons of tables that are never even going to face this because one of the things that I've always been trying to experience more is going to the local game store.
Mm.
Everywhere I've gone across the United States, and I owned my own company for a while, and I would go across the United States doing contract work, and every time I did, I would be somewhere for 5, 6, 7 months, and I would go find the local game store, and I'd start up games at the local game store just because I was cut off from my family and everything like that. And the one thing that I always found whenever I went to a local game store is I could not find or meet anybody from like even another Hispanic person. I couldn't find my people in the game store, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, how can as a community and as owners of game stores and stuff like that, how could there be a better job reaching out to those communities to try and get them into the store?
Wow. Yeah. Because they're, just business wise, they're missing out on a big chunk of change from not selling the diverse amounts of people. I don't know. I like the LGS near me that I went to, and I was like, this is kind of cool. I might run some games. I don't think I've ever been back since then. Not that they were unwelcoming, but I just got busy, I think. Plus the vibe.
Scheduling is the BBEG.
Oh yeah.
It really is.
RPGs.
It really is. And I always say there's a divide between this space and then like everyone who plays D&D. There's a little bit of overlap, but like when I go on like Facebook, the few times I'm on Facebook and I see there's like D&D groups, I'm like, God damn, there's like hundreds of thousands of people playing D&D who don't give a shit about the TTRPG space. Like they are not gonna watch this or my show or anything that a podcast does. It's like, and that's fine. But yeah, how do we kind of bridge the gap between this space that we have and like this really majority white space of local game stores and gamers? I don't know. I'm working on it. There's a cool group near me in the city nearby that has like monthly events, and I need to try and get back with those just to network and connect with people. But beyond that, I don't know. I really don't know. Those spaces have been traditionally white for so long. I did a podcast with B. Dave, Stefan Struve, and oh my gosh, I'm bad with names. I can only remember his title for his tag. Forgive me, Keiji Okami. And these are gamers who were in their 40s, and they've been gaming 40 plus, and they've been gaming since like the 70s, and they're like, yeah, this is the most diverse it's ever been now, because it's mostly been white for the last couple decades before this. So, how do we reach that gap? I guess get more BIPOC owners of gaming spaces. more small businesses that are willing to be supported. I know that gaming is being more accepted by
Oh yeah.
I'm just say Black people especially. Just because that's only what I can experience. But yeah, like Black people like really stepped up in gaming. Like just here in DC, we have BlurredCon,
Oh,
which
iconic.
is
One of the best
it's
CODs.
it's it's
Truly.
it's an experience,
Yeah.
and it showcases all the dimensions of blurredom. And then us D&D people are like in the basement of the basement. Like we acknowledge you, but please don't come upstairs.
Yeah.
Don't
I have
ignore us.
Oh, you're fine. Sorry, I had a cough. I think like because you mentioned BlurredCon. Funnily enough, my partner, or one of my partners, creates music, and he hates it when I call it nerdcore, but it is in fact nerdcore. Meets like 90s, meets like very lyrical, heavy like hip hop music, and so a lot of his songs is all like nerdy influences. I've been trying to get him into TTRPGs for the last 4 years, and it's just not sticking. But I've been in like nerd culture for ages. Like I said, when I mentioned the zine thing, it's like I'm like old school punk in vibe. But like I was a comic book nerd first. I didn't play video games growing up. I watched a bunch of movies. Like my first experience to like nerddom was seeing the Fox X-Men movie on TV and having like a religious experience.
That's awesome.
And then also like the 90s X-Men cartoon as well. Like those were my like starting points. And then from there it turned into like I was reading comics all the time. I worked in a comic book store for a little while as one of my second job. And even in those spaces, like it was so hard to get representation. So I vividly remember I was working in a comic book store when Miles Morales' Spider-Man comic came out.
Yeah.
And like the first time his first ever appearance, I have it somewhere in a box probably, but the experience that I remember that I want to spread like in TTRPG spaces, especially with like younger audiences too, is that I remember when that comic came out, I had my comic book shop manager save me a copy because I was going to buy it instantly. And we ordered like the normal amount, and I begged him, it's like, can you just order a couple more? And I bought like 4 copies of this, and I kept 3 of them under the counter just in case, because I knew something was going to come up to where somebody's going to look at it and then it's going to be like, oh, I don't want to buy you that. And it's like, well, technically it's already been paid for. And there was a little boy. There was a little boy who is Puerto Rican and African American, and he's literally in like a generic Marvel t-shirt from like Walmart, and he sees Miles Morales on the cover of Spider-Man, and his suit is black and red, and he picks up the cover, and his mom's over looking at like some kind of CDs, and he's flipping, and he sees Miles without his mask, and he runs over to his mom, and I'm watching this boy like a hawk because I'm seeing like a life change in front of my eyes, and I'm crying or trying not to cry while shelving CDs. And he goes over and says, mommy, he looks like me. Spider-Man looks like me. And it just the look of confusion on this mom's face. She was like, but Peter Parker's a white man. And then looking and saying, oh, okay. And she's like, well, okay, honey, well, we don't have like the money for that right now. Maybe next time. And so she comes and checks out because they were getting a birthday present for somebody. And we were talking, and he was talking about the Spider-Man comic, and she asked me, and I said, yeah, his name is Miles Morales, and he's like a different universe as Spider-Man. And then the little boy is like excited because he's probably maybe like 10 or so, and he's like asking his mom for the comic. And then she tells him to go check something so then he can like go run off some energy. And I tell her, it's like, I have a couple of copies that are already paid for. Do you want one for your son? And she's like, what do you mean they're already paid for? I'm like, oh yeah, they were donated by me. But and so I got her to agree to let me give her a copy for him. She put it in the bag, and they get like the trade bags for the comics, and she just hands it to him, and he opens it and starts crying with tears. The child tears of joy, and he is talking as they leave. I want to give that experience to somebody who like maybe has seen TTRPGs, and they're just like, it's fine. That's like white people stuff. And
Yeah.
then say it's like, oh no, like I play games with everybody from different walks and spaces. I play all these different systems. Like I learned 13 new systems last year. And it's one of those things too of like with me learning how to be a GM, it's being able to then bridge that gap again and being like, oh, I can run this for you.
Mm.
Oh, hey, you want to test this out? We can run something quick. Oh, you don't have the stuff for it? Don't worry. I have all the stuff you need for it.
Yeah.
Hey, here's all these digital resources. Hey, you have problems with like auditory sensory? We can do a post by play. Oh, hey, you only have like an hour to play something? Look, I have a 1-page game for you. And kind of being that space as well. I feel like that's a lot of what you're doing with APOC U, as like in that space of, hey, you want to talk about this thing you wrote? Do you want to maybe run it for us?
Yeah.
Do you have a preference of what kind of players you'd like to have at your table? Like those are all really big things of like why also I invited you on, because I know that that's just kind of something I feel like you vibe with as well.
Yeah. First, let me say just the power of that experience that you had, giving out Miles Morales that Spider-Man comic to that young boy. Like that's incredible, you know.
That's my baby boy.
That's really
That's my baby boy.
yeah. Just seeing representation of yourself in media and the shows and the comics you consume, it's hard to explain because I don't have the language for it because I rarely get a chance to talk about it. But just seeing it, like, okay, when I was a kid, like seeing the Black Ranger,
Oh my
it's
god.
like, oh
yes.
yeah, the Black Ranger. Seeing like, okay, there's wow, I'm so bad with names. Sorry, brain damage. Oh no, what's the Ghostbusters name? Forgive me.
Oh,
He's like a really handsome guy who's like 80 years old but looks like he's 50.
I've never seen Ghostbusters, so I can't help you.
We'll all just Google Ghostbusters
I know.
characters
I
right
was
now.
like, I can't remember either. Oh, by the way, we do have a hydrate and a posture check from Tales Archive.
Okay.
Ernie Hudson, who played Winston Zedman.
Winston.
I said Winston in my head, but I wasn't 100% sure. Just seeing Black characters in media is so important to me as a Black person. So seeing any kind of representation of yourself and character is powerful. And I think that's one of the things I would want to do more as a producer for myself is I want to see more. This is going to sound weird. Maybe not. I want to see more like monoculture games. So if it's like an all Black table, an all Asian table, all Latinx table, or an all Indian descent table, all indigenous table, I want people to say, oh, I'm not just someone who's viewing it from the outside. If you want to like bring people of different cultures into TTRPG space, they don't want to see like just one of them at the table. In my mind, they want to see like a whole group of people just like them enjoying the games just like they would, in my opinion. So I love having a combination of different people of different cultures, but I also would love to see kind of like monocultures play a game together and enjoy it in the way that they can enjoy it. There's not just a white table, right?
Yeah.
We've got plenty of that with all white tables. But there's a different experience to be had with like an all Black table. I just from my experience, I can attest to that.
I feel like that also really does promote accessibility into the space for people from different cultures, because then they can go and, show that to somebody of like, hey, I did a thing. And it's like, oh, you're just playing your nerd game somewhere with a bunch of white people. It's like, no, I'm actually playing with people like us.
Yeah.
And it shuts down that criticism immediately of like, oh, well, it's not for us. It's like, no, it literally is for you because it's for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's that type of story really escalates a situation that has happened in TTRPGs. Like, there is a TTRPG that exists today that was created in the 80s that was written by a person of color. Excuse me, my mouth was drying out. But the TTRPG itself is absolutely famous. But no one knows that it was created by a POC, and that would be Cyberpunk.
Yeah. Mike Pondsmith.
Yep, Michael Pondsmith, and he's still creating and he's still making games,
Yeah.
and he's but because of his own personal choices, because he doesn't like being in the public eye that much, because of his personal choices, he's not as well known, and that is, I mean, you have to respect individual choice, but that was and that was something that happened in the past that could have really changed a lot of the dynamic had
Mm.
that been more of a forefront thing, like just in the production of the game. If it had
Yeah.
just been a factor in that might have changed things, because it was an absolute hit.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it
Yeah.
is it is a hit now. I mean, Cyberpunk 2077 was what, the best-selling game in 2022 or 23?
Oh,
I can't
was it
remember.
after they fixed it? After they pulled it
It
from the
was no,
dumpster fire?
it was the best-selling
Oh,
game.
not the. Sorry, I'm thinking about the video game. Sorry,
Yeah,
the
the video
video
game.
game. Not the video game.
Yeah, the
My
video
bad.
game was the video game when it first came out was also a dumpster fire,
Yeah.
but it was still a
Okay.
best-selling dumpster fire.
Everyone was so excited for that dumpster fire.
They
Yeah.
gave
And
a
then
lot
they
of
fixed it.
refunds on that one too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then they fixed it and now it works fine. But yeah, no. So that's another example, and there are a lot of POC creators out there who are just amazing. I mean, Omega Jones has been
Mhm.
so instrumental in trying to make that voice heard. I know and I know they're very frustrated because they keep on hitting the walls and everything like that. But they've been just amazing to see their work develop and them become a voice in the community.
Yeah.
And Tanya DePast, her work literally has spanned across multiple game systems, across
Mhm.
multiple types of games, and they have become like an icon in the
Yeah.
community as someone who has strived to reach outside of their community to try and
Mhm.
get more understanding of why representation matters so much. And
Yeah.
so these are type of people that when I started Dinner in a Game, these are the type of people that I was like, these people deserve acknowledgement and respect, and
Yeah.
we need to strive to continue the missions that they were leading in their own right. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then I have the extra added weight on my shoulders of being a grognard. I'm 53 years old. I've been playing since I was 11, and a lot of people that look like me and come from that era are some of the biggest
Mm.
obstacles right now
Mm.
for POC gamers and creators in the field, because they're the first ones to do all the whataboutisms that cause so many problems. And I feel like it's a personal crusade to fucking at least have one person, and there's a lot more, trust me, there's a lot more, but at least having one very vocal and out person who is going to do their best to help with the problem rather than be the problem.
Mhm.
So that's another big reason I wanted this to be number one. I wanted to make sure to get you on the show and have this interview, but also to have Dinner in a Game be as outspoken and as direct about making sure that we can find this representation for people and find people a place, if they want to become a part of the community, a place they can step in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's just that. It's the only thing that I really, other than the fact that we know that this is a game, and so we place real limitations on how much we ask of people, like because we always say at Dinner in a Game there's one rule, and that's real life comes first.
Mm.
And so that's other than that, that's the other focus is getting as many voices to be heard as possible.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me go back in our interview real quick. So on our AP of Junk Sheet, it was Connie Chung, Banana Chan, Kiana Shaw, and Agatha Chung, who were all on that game. They were all fantastic, all East Asian people, and they absolutely killed it. Told a story that literally no one else could tell. And the person who I was thinking about was Hector, aka Keiichi Okami, who was in my podcast. Was a bunch of old heads, and also had Xtel, and we all talked about gaming. So it's all a bunch of like people of your generation, right? Who were just like, or maybe a little bit younger, but who were just like had been there and done that, and we're just like, yeah, this gaming used to really suck, and the people that made it suck are still around. Um, but I do want to, I want to give flowers to, oh my gosh, names escape me. Forgive me.
It's okay.
This is
Critical
your
Bard.
Oscar speech.
Yeah.
This is your Oscar speech, pretty much.
We're playing so quick. They will hit that
Full circle.
button. Oh my goodness. I do want to give credit to Critical Bard. Because in my opinion, without them, they put on a podcast, Black AF podcast, Black AF Roundtable a couple of years ago. Without them, I don't think any of this would be possible. If they had not organized that panel with Tanya and the other guests, forgive me, I'm bad with names, so I'm not going to try. And were outspoken about tokenism, about racism, about opportunities. Without them, I don't think any of this would be available. Any of this would be possible because they were the first persons to step up and organize and be loud and be heard about these issues. I was able to tell Critical Bard at PAX in Philly in November, December. I was like, shout out to you because you started this whole thing and also inspired me as someone who was just getting started. It inspired me in my home game because I was like, oh wait, y'all kind of fucked. Like I was playing with an all-white table. I was like, you know what, y'all are kind of weird. Y'all are not seeing me as a person. But just those Crip Bard and Tanya have been really outstanding examples of excellence, of ability, of just so many things that I admire as someone in this space, and I continue to admire them in all they do. So,
yeah, I mean, when you have these people who have taken those steps initially, who have been trying to be that voice, I think the worst part about it for me is because, especially with Critical Bard, CB is very, very open about their struggles in the industry and everything like that. And seeing that play out and watching them go through that, it's, it just brings that whole concept of, what can I do to help more into focus? Because, at one point, it's, there's nothing I can do to help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But on the other side of the field, at least I can, say nice things about CB and tell people about CB's work. Just like you with Apocalyptic. Sorry, but yeah, APOC, but yeah, with APOC is the fact that you have this venue that you can help other people get their voices out, like CB has been trying to do individually. Now you have an organization.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
one voice can be powerful, but a group is a foundation that can build something real. And so that's why I was like, this is an excellent, amazing situation that we need to promote.
Yeah, and I'm so proud of all the other groups that have stepped forward and stepped in and came together. Like there's, when I first came in like 2021-ish with everyone else that jumped in kind of post-pandemic, we were fighting hard for representation, if any at all. And now there's so many groups that are together. Obsidian Brews, Utopia, and more. Forgive me, bad with names again. But there's so many groups that are just doing the damn thing and are loud and proud. And I just want to hug all of them and support them because it's like I see y'all out there trying to do the same thing we're trying to do, which is just represent ourselves. And again, carry on that mission of showing the world that our talent matters and it's beautiful and it's creative. I do want to shout out that I got to dispel a rumor here. I'm the loudest person on Apocalyptic Unlimited, but I am just one of 13 people on the team.
Yeah, I looked at the roster of people you have that are working on it, and that is not a small team.
No,
it's not. We're loud and we're obnoxious, but we love it at the same time. So Ashton Laurel, Candace the Magnificent, Chaotic Darby, Kemma, JoJo, Leona Maples, Logan, Max, speaking of tongue twisters, Potato, and VJ Harris, all part of the team, all contributing to make this thing work. Everyone has their talent they contribute to make this whole thing come together. And yeah, it is a lot of people. I didn't know that everyone else was running on my team, like 3, 4, 5 people. And we're like 13 or so.
13.
Yeah. And I will tell you what, if you can get me an introduction to VJ Harris, I would be in your death favor. I love VJ Harris to death. They're like a hero to me.
Oh, wow. What do you appreciate about VJ?
That VJ is unapologetically who they are, even in their creations. You know what I mean? What was an elf and an orc had a baby? I mean, that alone puts them out there for me, because it's just like, let's take all the freaking rigmarole that's been put into gaming based around race and throw it out the freaking window. You know what I mean? Let's move beyond that and start actually playing games that we can get behind and we can feel good about playing. And not just doing that, but doing that in a way that was very positive. About it, and I know the VJ gets tons of hate because of the way they take their gaming, but at the same time, it's just like watching VJ be that stalwart defender of, we can play how we want to.
Yes,
that is the biggest thing for me, because I've been watched VJ's live streams and everything like that, and watch their chat just fill with hate speech, and VJ's just staying above it, and just like, you can, the people are getting the ban hammer, blah blah blah, but VJ is just like not letting that affect what they're trying to say and do, and that's just like, it's on one hand, it's really hard and horrible to watch someone that you actually like watching their content and watching that happen, but on the other hand, watching that person be able to defend themselves in a way that keeps it focused on what they're talking about, and not taking the bait and running and and like that. That's I don't have that type of. I
love it. Shout out to VJ. Shout out to VJ. You are that person, VJ. Working with them, they always were exactly what I needed them to be. When I was like, VJ, can you please help me? And they were like, boom, here I am.
Done.
So yeah, shout out to VJ. VJ, please send you an email or a text or a TikTok or whatever.
I can probably make it happen. I'm determined, and I have enough spite against the world.
Just say my name on one TikTok, and I'll die happy.
That's the funny thing about like I'm figuring out about being a producer, and with Diamond, your tweet is like everyone's. Most everyone's pretty nice. You know what I mean? Most everyone's chill. Most everyone's just like. Only time and opportunity are preventing people from working together.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. When we brought Diamond on and they started really opening all this up to us, it quickly became very apparent that there was not enough hours in my life to allow me to work with all these amazing people. And I'm just like, so now I'm just like, if you guys want to come on and run a one-shot on our stream, I'll do everything in my power to make that happen. So we try and put our best foot forward to get people on to do things with us that will allow their voices to be heard, allow them to be amplified, and allow us to somehow be part of helping. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the smallest thing we can do, but with something we can do. So, maybe we can do something later on with Epakayu and help you guys get some word out too.
I'm here for it.
Listen, if you guys make another zine, I want it. So,
we're always looking for contributors, collaborators, writers, artists. We have a Kickstarter planned. That's a big leak. We have it planned in the future, in the next few months, because we want to pay our writers. We want people to write for us. Yeah,
we feel that a lot.
So be on the lookout
Literally,
for that in the future. Yeah.
literally,
Yeah.
I am starting a retail business just to try and make enough money to pay people.
Mm, yeah.
I'm not even. My goal is not to make profits. My goal is to make enough money to pay my GMs and hopefully
Yeah.
eventually play my
Yeah.
players.
Right.
So
That
But
that
whenever
would be
you
ideal.
do the Kickstarter, definitely
Mhm.
shoot us a message and we'll help
Oh yeah.
you give you a space to talk about it. We did
absolutely.
it once, we'll do it again.
Yep.
Hey, appreciate that. Appreciate that. I think this space is big enough for all of us. It's big enough that we can all have our own platforms,
Yeah.
all have our own time to shine, and our own time to like sit in the shadows for a little bit and throw rocks at bad people. If that's what your thing is too. Um, but it's a big space and it's only getting bigger, only getting better. And if there's anything that I can bring to it, it's just I want to bring, more empathy and understanding and care for ourselves and each other. I feel like that's the least I can do by putting on games. And,
I
you
feel
know,
like you bringing yourself is also more than the world deserves. So you're just going above and beyond with it. So
Yep.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
you're
Um,
succeeding.
I will say that being kind of like you were saying a second ago, like when you get into producing, it's a little competitive now. Little competitive now because everyone's like, hey, yo. I saw some person tweet like, yo, I should do a game. And then there was like 3 or 4 and then 5 other channels who were like, you should run on ours. You should run on ours. I'm like, oh, wait a minute now. We're competing for people, which is good, which is really good. You always want competition, but collaboration is even better.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I
Yeah.
rock with it. We're all here and we all deserve to be like loved and appreciated in our games.
Absolutely. And just, I also think that it's a big thing of anyone who steps forward and puts their creation into the public space
Mm,
deserves to be honored for taking that risk.
Mhm.
Because every single time I come on and we run a game and I run a game on the stream and we're all playing and everything like that, you can ask Diamond. My biggest hit of depression is not
mm,
seeing those high numbers in my audience because I'm looking at my players and I'm watching them go through these stories and play these characters and have this amazing effect on the people who are there, and not
yeah.
seeing more people be there is just like, you guys are missing this.
I have that thought all the time. Watching shows or in shows I'm in, I'm just like sometimes like, what are we doing this for? Because like we're laying our heart and souls out here, and only my mom watches it. Hey, mom. But the audiences don't reflect the amount of time and energy and
Yes.
passion that are put into it. And it is what it is. Right now, we're working, we're building things. This shit's still super early, as everyone knows. And there's only one CR and there's only one D20. And all of us are just trying to be in our own space besides that. But yeah, it is a little heartbreaking like after the fact. Because it's like, oh, only like 5 people watch this. Well, only one person watched it, but 4 of the other streamers were the people on the show who had their windows open.
I know.
So
I
it looked like there were 5
know.
people.
When I see 10, I'm like,
Damn.
oh, that's only 5.
But even still, that 5, right? That
Mhm.
5 is important.
Yeah.
And the fact that these streams are out on the internet and available, you never know. I always think way too deep for this shit. But like, what if someone picks it up in 100 years and they're like, damn, these people in the past were doing some interesting things with this art form.
Mhm.
I mean, you'll be dead probably, but it's out there, right? Your work, your
Yeah.
passion, it's out there. It's really up to us to keep that passion and art going because it's ours and we can
Mhm.
be proud of it, even if, it doesn't really have the numbers that are seen. But, yeah.
No, you're right. You're completely right. Well, it's been over an hour now, so
Okay.
we've been not monopolizing your time. Is there anything else you'd like to hit on before we let you go?
Yep. Stay tuned for Podchromatic Unlimited. We're doing ever cooler things. We are planning on putting out in the scene this year. We're always looking for contributors. We're always looking for more DMs and gamers to join us. We're trying to tell, in my opinion, we're trying to tell stories that matter. and you matter as a player, as a GM, as a creator, and we just want to give you that platform to shine a little bit. Also, check out my own podcast again. Breathe, breathe. Check out my podcast where I interview really cool people about the intersection of culture, race, and TTRPG space. The most recent interview I did was Candace Marie, Candace the Magnificent, and we spilled so much tea in that show. I am the type of interviewer where I'm like, please be as honest and mean as possible. Not mean, but like,
Well, just be honest.
be honest.
No
Yeah.
matter how mean it is.
Yeah. And so this last podcast was honest and it was powerful, and we hit some points that I don't think are being heard anywhere else, in my opinion. But yeah. But okay, also check out Navarre's podcast, Secret Nerd podcast. Check him out too. If I could think in my brain, I would name more people to name drop that aren't affiliated with me at all, because I love them and I just want everyone to shine. Doesn't matter who you are, if you're POC in the space, I just want to see you shine. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
So what we're going to do now is, number one, I'm going to allow the amazing and incredible Madness to let you guys know where you can find her in the mighty, mighty interwebs. You can find Mark's information in chat right now. They are their links is to the APOCU's website, and that information is all up there. But you can find more information about Mark on the APOCU website as well. So go over there, check it out. It is not going to leave you wanting. It has the type of content that we want to see in this industry. So do your best to follow them, and make sure you give them a shout out if you can. And we were going to go ahead, and what we're going to do now, Mark, is on Twitch we're going to raid out. And on all the other channels, we're going to thank everyone for joining us and let them go. Diamond, where can people find you on the mighty, mighty interwebs?
Hiya, I'm Madness Diamond, and since you've sat through dinner conversations with myself and Ray with our lovely guest Mark, you can call me Diamond. You can find me everywhere at Madness Diamond. My Beacons link should be in the chat. And if it's not, then it's Madness Diamond. It's beacons.ai/Madness Diamond. I'm on social media at Madness Diamond as my main tag. Unless you're looking for me on TikTok, I am Madness Diamond 2.0. I am a writer. I am a actual play performer. I'm a cosplayer. I'm a content creator. I'm a sex worker. And I'm also the administrative coordinator over here at Dinner and a Game. Ray does, in fact, pay me to bully him and do his scheduling. And so, yeah, you can find me and my actual play schedule on my Beacons link. So Mondays, which is tonight, in less than an hour, you can find me over on the Starfield playing Werewolf the Apocalypse, where I play Soiree Suncrest, the Silver-Fanged Ragabash in Guardians of Neptune. Tuesdays, you can find me here on Dinner and a Game playing Bay, the very human hunter who is very squishy. In Emerald Sanctum's Our World of Darkness Splat, where all of us play kind of a different playbook character. And then on Thursdays, you can find me over on World Tree Quests, where I am part of Fathoms Below, playing Melusine Luce Vestra, the Battlemaster Fighter Barbarian multiclass, in the completely underwater homebrewed 5e campaign. So,
yes. And you can find Dinner and a Game's links in our link tree, which is now in chat as well. Remember, if you want to help Dinner and a Game get to that point where we can actually pay our creators, you can do things like subscribe to us on Twitch or any of the other subscribable sites such as YouTube. You can give us a follow on any one of our social medias, because that helps us with the algorithm and helps us get our voice out there. You can also buy our merch, which we have in our merch shop. We are going to be going to have a merch sale soon that's going to go along with the sub drive we're going to try and have for Twitch, and we are also going to be putting out more product into our Twitch shop, and I'm building out the webpage for our actual web store for our actual Dinner and a Game branded products, which are going to include things like dice towers, dice trays, terrain for D&D and other Warhammer wargaming things such as Warhammer and Age of Sigmar and stuff like that. And we're also going to be putting out 3D printable dungeons that are going to be they're modularly based, and so you can build individual rooms and stack them together. All that's coming out very, very soon, because we are literally trying to make this a situation where we are going to be a professional community of gamers who are going to bring content for you, by you. So we hope you guys can join us for that. In the meantime, like I said, we're going to go ahead and say good. Thank you very much to Mark again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we're going to go ahead and say goodbye to everyone on all our other social medias. If you're on Twitch, stick around. We're going to raid out to somebody else. We're going to pick them out, and we'll be letting you know who they are in the chat. And when you get there, let them know Dinner and a Game sent you. Thank them for creating content. Refresh your screen, F5, or just hit the refresh button on your web browser, because that will help them with their analytics and make them get their voices out more. And do not forget, please protect yourselves. Wear a mask when you can. Social distance where you can. We almost all of us went to Gen Con. All of us got COVID. And so it's the permanent con crud. We're going to have to be careful if we want to be able to be safe and be able to come back and join us as we run these incredible games and have these incredible interviews for you. So please do what you can to support us by taking care of you. All right. So in the meantime, at Dinner Game, we always save you a seat at the table. Thank you so much for joining us, and we are going to see you guys next time. We will see you all later.